Hi, everybody. I am bringing the Runecast outdoors today for the first time ever. It isn't the first time that I have focused the runes outdoors in the Runecast, but I have never done the Runecast real time, fully outdoors. So, this is for the week of November 3rd, and we are in Hagalaz through the 13th of November, I believe. Hagalaz is representative of us moving into the second et, as we talked about in detail last week. And it's also representative of moving into the experience of drastic change and the ability to carry what we have mapped in our joy, in our nervous system around how we carry forward memory of really wonderful times when times aren't necessarily so great. So, Hagalaz is difficulty. It is difficulty that maybe we saw it coming, maybe we didn't. The potential was likely there to see it coming, but not necessarily 100%. And Hagalaz challenges our humanity. It's really the first point in the progression of the Elder Futhark that we've come through the really sweet aspects, the more innocent aspects of the first et, learning to soul inform. And we find that humanity challenged with Hagalaz. We become challenged with, are we who we say we are? Are we who we think we are? And how does that stand up when things aren't necessarily going in our favor? So, the rune that we are working with alongside Hagalaz, how to best Hagalaz, is that's interesting. It is again Laguz reversed. That's really telling. That doesn't happen very often, that the exact same runes come up back to back. Lagos reversed, as we talked about last week, has a lot to say about our awareness of flow. Are we aware of it? Are we developing habits and discipline? I so cringe to say that word, but truly discipline in our lives to be able to know when our awareness of flow is disrupted. And are we gaining the skills, the range of talents, perhaps, to bring ourselves back, to bring our awareness back to flow? So the ability to even realize flow and know what that feels like. Ideally, we got that from the first et. The ability to realize when we're not aware of that, we're not feeling it in our nervous system. What do we do to bring it back? That's a whole range of skills, of awareness, and ability to fall into an emotional pit if we're not careful. It's interesting because, I mean, if you think about it, the Elder Futhark does not deal in emotion. There is no rune that is really about emotion. People like to layer that onto Laguz, but that's a modern thing. That's not an inherent component of that rune. There's really not a rune in the entire Futhark that deals with emotion. There are plenty of runes that deal with states of being. And I feel like that raises some question, like, why aren't those runes there? What does that say about our relationship to emotional states? The thing that I come back to over and over from an animistic context is that emotion is transient. It's not meant to be something that just parks and lives with us for forever and that we hold on to white knuckled. We don't live in a culture that teaches us that, and we don't live in a culture that teaches us how to allow emotion to flow, how to let it be transient, how to let it move through. I mean, this is a tangential conversation, but when we don't allow emotion passage, it becomes possession. It becomes shadow stuff. It becomes soul loss. So maybe that's why it's not inherently embedded in the runes of the Elder Futhark. But I think that those things are what's on the plate as we're dealing with Hagalaz this week. Where is emotion entering into things? Where is that education required to happen so that we are in a stable place to recognize our awareness of relationship with oneness and ability to get ourselves in and out of that? All right. I'm bringing in our, let's see, bringing in our wild hunt representation, the ancestors, and this skull kind of as our key reminder of the dead time, the work that we need to be doing to be ready for this dead time, the letting go that needs to happen for us. And just to be mindful that in the North, letting go is the rhythm right now. It's not just this thing that's a good time for us to do, but it is the theme. It is the core function of this seasonality right now. Do we have a direction that is best working with us with Hagalaz this week? It's interesting. It's really different doing this outdoors. It's so direct. I've been doing a lot more spiritual work outdoors over the last month now that it's been approachable outdoors for this brief window that it will be approachable. And it's so different. And I know this. Like when I began, most of my spiritual practice was outdoors. It's only having the advent of kind of neighbors up in my grill that I've had to bring it back in. And over the last month, I just said, screw it, I'm doing it anyway. I'm sure it's getting some conversation. So above is who I am getting the strongest feeling from in this rune cast. That feels really appropriate. This is the cloud marble. It feels really appropriate because there's been so much effort on behalf of the off-planet allies intervening to hold balance here, to help us hold balance here, and to really re-represent themselves as part of the balance here. We haven't had that. Like we haven't had that as even in your most off the hook spiritual paganish practice, we don't talk about how the off planet allies are part of the balance of this planet. Something that I have stumbled into just in my interaction with Earth Spirit of late is how she is situated in a sibling family. She is somebody's daughter. She is somebody's cousin and auntie or whatever. And how her not being able to be situated openly in that sort of lineage has been harmful for her, which means harmful for us. That whole thing has been really interesting. That we have the off planet allies above watching over us. And maybe this is a good time to remember them as ancestors, not just these ethereal, way off, far off, foreign, maybe even alien experiences of beings, but they are the ancestors. When we talk about the star seed, stardust, they're our ancestors. It's not just this cellular knowledge that we come from universal matter. It is a spiritual lineage and literal lineage of other beings and bodies that we're tied into. And maybe that is a focus to take into this season of the dead, of lineage, of ancestry, and perhaps honoring them in a way that's a little more about the cells in your body and the cells in your ecosystem, that they are manifest here. They're not just out there, and how to maybe tend the relationality here a little bit better so that their influence can come through even more strongly for the earth spirit. When I ask what element wants to be present, it's the human heart. And that one always feels a little bit tricky, not because it's so so big of a mystery. Maybe it is, I don't know, but because it's just so challenging. The heart is the intersection of the upper and lower chakras. It's sort of a combination of both and its own space. It's this place of synthesis. It's a place of realizing where our emotional space meets our grounded, sciency, animistic space, and also our upper, more intuitive, less tangible awareness, where those things come together and they shape into meaning in our lives. And it's interesting that the heart is also the place that we it's like the second place that we will lie to ourselves. Like the phrasing that I hear is, at the mental level, the mind level, we lie to ourselves all the time. And at the heart level, we have the potential to feel into truth because it is still part of body and body never lies. But heart is also the place where we're continuously processing emotion, like we talked about a while ago. And emotion is that thing that can create an incredibly obscured picture, an obscured experience and or awareness of what our life or life around us is. And that makes our ability to regulate our nervous system to be able to feel what body is telling us is true really, really difficult. So I think anytime heart comes up, it's a reason to slow down and pay attention. How much attention are you giving your heart? Not just, listening to it and using it as this continuous divination form that guides us through life, but how much attention are we giving it? How often are we slowing down and saying, this is my tender heart. This is my compassionate heart, and I'm going to take care of it. This is a good time to do that. This is hot chocolate season. The hot chocolate in a book, a blanket by the fire. This is the time to do that. Self-care can look really different right now, and self-care needs to happen to be able to do the world care that we're being asked to do right now. Again, I'm asking if there is a particular seasonal tone that we need to take, and it's either all of the above, none of the above, what's right in front of you. I feel like we could each divine that for ourselves. But as I'm sitting here in my ecosystem, it's like, you know, it you are setting the tone. You have to listen to yourself and set the tone. That's not something that is going to be prescribed at this time. And right now, that work is a lot of listening, a lot of observation, and there is a slowness about that. There's also action, particularly around making offering and making, I guess sacrifice is the word. I was trying to find another word, but that's the only one that's coming. Making sacrifice of what we are finished with and can have the wild hunt pick up for us. Is that the right word? Is that the right word for you? The Galder that we're working with this week includes Hagalaz, Hagal, Heil. We also have Laguz, Lagu, Lagu. And however you need to work with the Galder should be the way that your body feels a synthesis with those resonances. However, that breath meets the shape of that runic sound and it needs to come together, that's exactly it. And if it shifts one syllable to the next, one Galder to the next, so be it. This is the way this Galder is coming together for me. Hi galagu, hi galagu, hi galagu, hi galagu, hi galagu, hi galagu, hi galagu. Hi galagu, hi galagu, hi galagu, hi galagu. I feel that very much in my lower body, literally where my energy is not distinguishable from that of the land, literally like sitting on the ground, feeling where my body is connected in. Like, there's the awareness of that, but the Galder itself was doing something within that I don't have a name for. I'm not even sure I can give a feeling to that sensation or try to project what it was doing or that I even need to. But to just do that and let it be and experience it and consider that it's quite possibly not even for myself. This weekend, we're coming up on the astronomical date of Samhain, which I believe is the 6th. I don't remember the exact time. And where that is relevant is where that is relevant, and it may not be for everybody. This is where we start to really dial into the darkness. The time changed over this past weekend. It makes me crazy, and it also sort of jump starts that whole dead time thing. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't know. Can't speak for everybody, but it doesn't feel like a good thing. It feels like an artificial pressure into something that already is a very intimate and delicate time. Be careful with yourselves, be careful with your dead. And I wish you all the release, all the blessing that can come of the things that you are letting go of in this season. And thank you for all the work that you do to stay well and sane and supportive to the planet. Thank you.